only have one life to live, and this is not the way to live your life in prison or locked up.
Andrew Jefferson has spent much of his life behind bars, and now 38, he is in prison again.
Yeah, I have regrets. Yeah, I have a lot of regrets. Because I feel like now that me being old, I could have did more with my life instead of spending it in prison. Because I didn't see no 20s on the street at all. All my 20s was incarcerated, so I didn't never get a chance to live and be young and grow and do the things in life that people get to do that's out there free.
Jefferson first made headlines when he was just 13.
Police say 13-year-old Andrew Jefferson shot and killed Alabama truck driver Henry Purnell September 10th.
The investigation led us to believe that the young boy that's been charged is the trigger person.
He was the youngest person in Middle Tennessee at the time to face murder charges as an adult, yet he was barely a teen.
A man who was in the truck with Purnell the night of the murder picked Andrew Jefferson out of a photo lineup.
The charges later were thrown out, but then Jefferson was arrested again and sent to prison for yet another murder.
And I'm a convicted felon at the age 17.
We first talked with him in 2003 at the Riverbend Maximum Security Prison here in Nashville. He talked tough and seemed angry.
How sorry are you for what happened?
How sorry I am.
Are you sorry?
I mean, stuff happens. You know, stuff happens.
And Jefferson told us that when he was done serving his sentence, he would do whatever he had to, in his words, to survive.
By any means necessary. If that's whatever it takes for me to make it, then I'm gonna have to make it.
Robbery.
I mean, if that's what it's gonna take.
Selling drugs.
If that's what it's gonna take.
Murdering.
I mean, if that's what it's gonna take.
Now, 16 years later,
I don't remember that.
we met Jefferson again for a rare prison interview at the Trousdale Turner Correctional Center.
You know, then you was talking to a young man then. So, you know, I was still stuck in my ways and being young.
Does it surprise you that you said this?
It really do, because I don't think like that now. I'm a whole different person, so.
Jefferson says he's not the same street-tough kid he was when he first was arrested for killing someone.
You don't necessarily have to sell drugs or rob or do these things, and now that I'm more mature, I realize that.
So surviving now for you is a lot different.
Oh, of course it is, because I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
Here is back behind bars, where he is now serving 25 years on drug and weapons charges. Jefferson says he tried but couldn't escape the criminal justice system.
The way I lived in prison, so I took that out there with me.
Motion to have his bond altered or revoked.
And the same thing, it turns out, happened to Terrence McLaurin.
I looked up to the big-time drug dealers and admiring them for the cool things drug money was giving them.
We also interviewed him in prison in 2003, where he was serving time for killing a man during a drug deal.
Terrence McLaurin made the deal to plead guilty to second-degree murder and spend about 11 more years in jail.
McLaurin, at the time of the murder, was just 12 years old. He was then the youngest person ever charged with criminal homicide in Davidson County.
McLaurin was one of two people accused of killing 40-year-old Larry Huber.
He took my brother's life, and we can't get him back. He can get out and start a new life, and my brother can't.
I told him I was sorry.
McLaurin later made amends with his victim's family and insisted he was turning his life around.
When you're a 12-year-old boy sitting in a cell, charged as an adult for first-degree murder, it feels like the whole world has turned against you.
He had an essay published and told us he planned to do better when he got out.
Not wanting to do any more time, really. Yeah. This is just the end for me.
These kids don't have a prayer.
That was Jim Todd when he was the Davidson County Juvenile Court prosecutor. He's now in private practice and remembers McLaurin well.
When he came into custody at age 12, he had a very, very, very lengthy record.
Todd says McLaurin then became a victim himself of the system.
One of the things that he told the evaluator was, when I was arrested on the murder, I could not believe they didn't let me go home. because he was so used to being arrested and released, arrested and released, arrested and released, arrested and released.
So you'd get in trouble, you'd go in jail for a couple hours, and then you'd be sent home?
Yeah,
And that was it?
that was it.
Time after you kept getting in more and more and more trouble?
Todd says the revolving jail door is only part of the problem. What to do with these kids is another. Todd does not believe sending them to prison when they commit serious crimes is the answer. Take McLaurin, who started out serving his sentence in DCS custody because under state law he couldn't be moved to the prison system until he was 16. And when that happened, there were repeated efforts to keep him out.
Well, DCS petitioned to keep him till 19 and not send him to TDOC because he was doing so well. So he then stayed in DCS custody to 19 for 7 years. And by that time, he was a model kid. And even the victim's family, Larry Huber, the victim in that homicide's family, petitioned me, the prosecutor, and other people to try to get his sentence commuted so he didn't have to go to the Department of Corrections. But I think it shows that given enough time, you can rehabilitate a juvenile, regardless of what they're charged with. But you have to have a lot of time, and you have to prepare them to live their life independent of the environment that they came from.
But Todd says, unfortunately, McLaurin did get sent to the Department of Correction, and things went downhill from there.
He got in there and to a system that did not help him. That probably taught him more criminal behavior than he knew before he went in. And when he got out, he was not prepared to keep going and struggled.
One of the first things McLaurin posted on Facebook after getting out of prison appeared to celebrate a return to the gangsta lifestyle, announcing, "I'm here, so make room for a new dawn." And not long after he was released, he was arrested, and arrested again and again. Court records, in fact, show he's been arrested more than 24 times in the last 9 years.
You have to prepare them to live their life independent of the environment that they came from. Releasing them back into the environment they came from with the parent that they didn't have is not going to fix it.
May it please the court, on behalf of Terrence Ivory,
McLaurin, who's now known as Terrence Ivory, turned down our request through his attorney for an interview.
That's all I knew.
Andrew Jefferson has struggled too.
Were you prepared for your release?
Nope, not at all. Because you got to think, I was locked up when I was 16, 17. I didn't get out till I was 31 years old. So I'm institutionalized. In my mind, I'm institutionalized. Like, I don't know nothing but prison, how I survived in prison.
Andrew Jefferson says he tried to survive out of prison. He held several jobs, got married, had a baby, but he was also arrested more than 12 times, not for robbery or another murder, but a lot of drug charges.
You just couldn't kick the drugs.
I just couldn't kick the drugs.
He blames an addiction he says he picked up in prison.
I started buying the cocaine, snorting the cocaine.
Jefferson is not due now to be released until he's 63. He got an enhanced or tougher sentence on his latest charges because of his criminal history. He just can't seem to escape what he did as a teen.
They don't see no father. They don't see all the jobs I've been working. They don't see the check stubs. They don't see none of that. They don't see the good that I do. They just see a convicted murderer